Welcome, everybody. My name is Kate Slaney. I'm the Associate Dean, Graduate Studies here in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. We have a number of really great field schools in FASS, and now finally that widespread travel is resuming after almost 3 years of COVID interruptions. The time is really right for us to spread the word about all the fantastic opportunities we have for you to take your studies abroad. Before we get started, I just want to note that we are recording this session, so those that can't make it can view it at a later time. Now, today we have at least 3 representatives from 3 field schools joining us today. We're waiting on 2 possible other representatives. I'll introduce them to you, and then each will give a brief presentation in the order that I introduce them to you, and we should have lots of time for Q&A afterwards. So first, we've got Meg Holden and Annika Airas from Urban Studies, who will be presenting on the Comparative Urban Sustainability Field School, which is held in Finland. We have Richard Frank from Criminology, who will be presenting on the International Perspectives on Cybercrime Field School held in Scotland. We've got Hannah Christensen here from Political Science, who will be presenting on the NATO Field School and Simulation Program, which is located at a number of places in Europe. And we're hoping to have Samir Gandesha from Humanities to present on the field school, and Tanya Broche from Psychology to present on Vanuatu. And I will just note that the Vanuatu school currently only accepts undergraduate students, but we wanted Tanya to come and present because it's the intention ultimately to open this up to grads in the future. So hopefully she'll be able to join us. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Meg and Annika, who are here to present about the Finland Field School.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Kate. And Meg, maybe if I start, and you please feel free to jump in. I have a few slides I wanted to share, so I will just show you some pictures while I plow through a few points about the Finland Field School. So this is Urban Studies Field School called Comparative Urban Sustainability. My name is Annika. I'm a co-director of this field school together with Professor Meg Holden. I'm lucky to be doing this field school. I'm from Finland and graduated from the University of Helsinki, so I still get to be in touch with a lot of the colleagues and friends in the city and bring Canadian students and international students there. We have run this course 3 times now. We did it virtually 2 times, and then last summer we were able to do the in-person field school. A little bit about the details. So this course is open for undergraduate and graduate students. Graduate students can get 6 credits from this class. Before we head to Finland, we will have 4 pre-sessions in the Vancouver region in May and June. And then we travel to Finland in the beginning of August for 2 weeks. In Vancouver, we will have 4 sessions that delve into topics in sustainability. We will get to know a little bit about Finland and Helsinki region already while we're in Vancouver. And we will create opportunities to learning comparative angles to urban sustainability together. As part of these pre-sessions, we will do a couple of local field trips in the Vancouver region that will help us to create those comparative perspectives to be then compared to the case studies that we're going to visit in Finland later in the summer. The pre-sessions will be on Saturday afternoons in May and June to allow for students to possibly do other coursework in the summer or jobs prior to the travel in August. Here are some pictures from the field from last summer to give a little sense of what we're up to when we're in Finland. The plan again is to visit different sites, to different walking tours, have lectures, conversations with different experts and locals while exploring these specific themes in sustainability. Undergrads and grads have slightly different workloads in this class. For example, graduate students choose a theme in consultation with the instructor to be able to focus a little bit more on specific type of literature that relates to their own research interest in sustainability. So for example, last year, grad students were focusing themes such as housing policy and smart cities. But in Finland, we will meet experts such as urban and environmental academics, urban development and policy professionals. We will visit the urban planning department, likely this sustainable construction site that's on the picture here, Nordic think tanks, eco-urban neighborhoods, and more. So the idea is really to learn on our feet and visit different neighborhoods, visit different libraries, museums, university campuses, and create spaces to create connections and have meaningful friendships as well. Here are a few pictures from, this is the University of Helsinki campus that we will visit. We had a lecture there last summer and we're planning one for next summer as well. We will also visit the island of Suomelina, that is a short ferry ride away from Helsinki. This is a UNESCO heritage site and it provides an introduction to coastal living along the Baltic Sea. And we also reflect on its status as an example of sustainable tourism when we're there. We will also get to see some ongoing urban planning projects and focus that have a specific focus on sustainability. Helsinki is rapidly developing its formerly industrial waterfronts, and we get to know some of the challenges and opportunities with these developments with the locals. These pictures are from Jätkäsaari waterfront area, which is this master planned waterfront neighborhood that is aiming to, for example, provide accessible housing options and different housing tenures for people living in the city. So we will look into these different policies and options in housing also in this course, and visit this neighborhood as part of the field school. This picture is from Porvoo, which is a nearby city of Helsinki that we will also get to visit. Porvoo is one of the oldest cities in Finland, and it's known for its national urban parks network that we'll get to learn more about when we visit this town with the local resident. Here also is a picture of these garden areas in the city. There are these urban garden homes that we will also visit to create a bit of an understanding of some of the ecological perspectives of living in the city. We get to learn a little bit about social and cultural values through the people who own cabins in these areas, and get to do a walking tour here as well. Generally, we will move with the public transit. We will be taking ferry rides, using trams, buses, subways, and walk quite a bit as part of this field school. And yeah, the course really offers this comparative lens to urban sustainability topics. And we have diverse experts that we will visit as part of the course. So we will visit city staff, but also academics and locals who will give us insights into the topics that we're studying. ISS is dealing with the applications, but if you have more specific questions about the program, I'm very happy to answer them. So please find my email from this slide. And then I wanted to end with some of the student testimonials we got from last summer's course. We got a lot of positive feedback from our course last summer, and I really would like to highlight that this field school is open for students coming from diverse backgrounds who have an interest in sustainability, interested in urban topics and issues, and you do not have to be a student in urban studies to take this field school. And I also wanted to mention that Meg and I are hosting this in-person meeting this Friday at Harbor Center. If you want to come and meet us in person, we will have grad students who took this course last summer to share their experiences. So I would like to welcome everyone there if you're interested in this Finland Field School. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Annika. I'll just say that it was a wonderful, eye-opening experience getting to travel to Finland and to see some of the ways in which the culture influences approaches to sustainable cities planning and development. And yeah, like Annika emphasized, I was also surprised by the diversity of ways in which sustainability is approached, from transportation to automated delivery systems to gardens and some of the and housing. And the students also made it what it was. So thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Annika and Meg. Really, really interesting. Sounds like I'd really like to go, actually. Looks like a wonderful field school. Thanks for taking the time to tell us about it. We'll move on now to Richard, and I'll just ask interested students if you could hold your questions for each of the field schools until the end so that we'll have enough time for everybody to present, and then we'll give an open Q&A if that's okay. So we'll move on now to Richard, who's here to present on the Scotland Field School. Take it away, Richard.
Hello. You're very welcome to join us if you wish. So this is the Scotland Field School. Its focus is on cybercrime, being in the School of Criminology, but it is open to other disciplines. And we've had people from computing science and psychology and some other faculties join us in the past. So it is, looking back, one of the best projects that came out of this course was done by someone from psychology. So the different ways of thinking brought a lot to this course. But anyway, this course is 3 units as opposed to the previous, which was 9. It is open for grad and undergrad students as well. The last day of exams in August is on August 19th, and the actual in-field component of this course is squished into the 2-week time frame in between the end of the semester for August and the beginning of September or the beginning of the semester in September. So if you're taking any classes or doing anything else in the summer, this field school does not interfere with any of them. We will meet virtually for half an hour to an hour or something, depending on the need. But once a month, which is just to get the project up and running, your personal project for the course up and running, and to answer any questions about the field trip, and just to get a chance to meet everyone who will be going. I'm expecting this to be done virtually. On the 20th, we'll do a welcome dinner and a tour of Glasgow, just explore, do a bit of making sure everyone's familiar and do a bit of bonding, I guess. On the 21st, I'm expecting a symposium where we'll have different local government, police, academics come in, do presentations about some of their cybercrime problems. And then we'll have actual in-class sessions, workshops on the 22nd through the 25th. These are morning session, afternoon session, where we're joined by in the past, it was about 10 students from Germany. They were all graduate students, about the same number from local students, and whatever number of SFU students are present. So it's a very mixed set of students with different professors in the class to give a very international discussion, all focusing on cybercrime, cooperation, how do countries cooperate, how do offenders cooperate across borders, very different perspectives being present with at least 3 countries represented. And in the past, we've had people from the Middle East join us, so it was 4 or 5, and someone from Malaysia join us. We're going for a wide variety of perspectives here. On the 26th, I'm expecting the Fringe Festival, just it's a Saturday, just a day of going to a different city, enjoying the festival, looking at the acrobatics, catching a play, just have some fun. On the 27th is a free time, and then the 28th through the 31st, we have some group tours planned, which I will talk about in a few minutes. The actual evaluation for the course, there's a heavy component of discussion because it is a very discussion-heavy course. The discussion taking place in field with the other students present. There is also a project paper, a research project, which will develop throughout the summer semester. That's roughly the course. It is the equivalent in commitment to a standard course, except the in-class component is squished into the 2 weeks after the exam period and is done in Scotland. So a couple of activities to give you an idea of what I'm expecting. Fringe Festival, it's thousands of plays, all sorts of productions, everything descends onto Glasgow. It is, as far as I know, the largest Fringe Festival available. So we'll spend a day just having some fun with it. It's a Saturday, it's not an official school day. We'll also do some group dinners whenever appropriate. If we're in the field someplace, going somewhere, and it's lunchtime, we'll do a group lunch. If it's dinner time, we'll do a group dinner. So these are included. We'll also do some culture things like Stirling Castle, just explore the local castles. There are a lot and they're really nice. Also go to Doon Castle, which is my favorite. It's Game of Thrones from Winterfell, from Game of Thrones and many other movies. We'll also take a tour of the Scottish Parliament. I know the head of security, and he gives us a private tour of the Parliament, discussing how, well, from a security perspective, what needs to be done in the Parliament to keep everything secure. He can also discuss how politics is created, how policies are created, and it's a good 2-3 hours of discussion with him. In the past, he also brought in some other people who discussed different things that go on in the Parliament. We have also taken side trips to the Scotland Police Academy. In one iteration of the field school, we spent the entire day there. We saw how they train, talked to some of the instructors about some of their policing challenges, which are actually very similar to Canadian policing challenges. But anyway, in another iteration of the field school, we spent half a day there doing the similar things. Also have planned a visit to Napier Cyber Academy to just see what they do and maybe do some hands-on activities. There are hands-on activities during the actual in-class component as well, which I'm happy to talk about, but I won't for the lack of time. These are the program costs. We kept the cost as realistically minimum as possible. There is shared accommodation. We stay at, including myself, stay at the University of Strathclyde dormitory, which is right in the middle of Glasgow, in walking distance to shops, to the train station where you can catch a train to, if you want, London, the 4-hour trip. You can also take trains to other cities nearby. So everything's very central. All of the field trips, entrance fees, in-country transportation, and some of the group meals are included. Other information, it is recommended, but not necessary to take CRIM 380, which is the Introduction to Cybercrime class. And if anyone's interested, that class is being offered in the summer, so you can take that and then go on the field trip. If you're a graduate student, then CRIM 380 would also be nice, but for undergrads or graduate students, we can work around that. It's nice, but not necessary to have. There are 2 and 4 sessions running that are focusing on the Scotland Field School. They are on January the 11th and the 18th at 2 p.m. If you're interested in attending, please send me an email. My address is rfrank@sfu. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Richard. That also sounds very interesting. Again, just in the interest of time, we'll move on through the speakers, but please do hold your questions, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So I will hand it over now to Samir, who will present on the Prague Field School. Take it away, Samir.
Hi, everybody. I'll just share my screen. I'm assuming I'm able to do that. There we go. Okay, assuming everybody can see that okay. Right, so I know under a little bit of pressure to go through fairly quickly. So I'll just give you an overview, and then, you know, in the question period, get down to the details if people like. So we've been running the Prague Field School since around the late 90s. So it's been quite a long running field school. We typically haven't had a lot of graduate students, but we would certainly welcome them. And if we do have graduate students interested in the program, we can tailor the curriculum based on the existing undergraduate curriculum to their or your interests and needs. So an overview of the program, we start basically in the first week of May and go to the third week of June. The students will take one course with me, the field school director. I'll be teaching a course this year on Franz Kafka. Very important, but also quite a strange and sort of contradictory figure in Czech culture. And they take a number of courses with Charles University faculty. Charles University is one of the oldest universities in the world, and that's our main partner in Czech Republic, in Prague. So they'll do courses on politics and history, film. They'll do a language course at the beginning. They will do art and architecture. And then there's another course they'll do with a professor by the name of Václav Sílek. He's trained as a geologist and is one of the sort of predominant public intellectuals in the country. He's very well known. And he takes us off every Tuesday on day-long excursions, and then there's also like about a 4-day excursion, 4-day field trip when we stay in southern Bohemia, and then from there we do a number of day trips and end up seeing quite a bit of the country. And it often turns out that just because people recognize him, because they know who he is, he's able to get us into see things that your average sort of, let's say, tour guide or professor wouldn't have access to. So we have had some really quite interesting, engaging visits to, you know, glass blowing factories. We've gone down, you know, into caves and seen various kinds of cathedrals and churches that are really off the beaten path. It's really an amazing experience. So while we're doing this, he's at the same time basically providing impromptu lectures about the history of the landscape, different styles of architecture and different periodizations, talking about different forms of economic organization and so on. So it's a very rich kind of experience for the students. And then when we're staying at the inn in southern Bohemia, the students tend to really bond over dinner and glasses of wine, sit around the fire and tell stories and hear more about the kind of the local surrounding area from Professor Sílek. So this is essentially how the field school is organized. We have, you know, I guess this is kind of common to all field schools, but we certainly have groups of, you know, between 10 and 20. I think in the past I've taken a group of 24, which I thought was maybe just a little bit too many. Ideally, it's around 15. Prague consists of 11 credits for students. Again, this is, you know, based on the undergraduate model, can be 11 or 12. And the, you know, curriculum consists essentially of coursework various kinds of assignments and field trips. And again, for graduate students, we would have a kind of enriched curriculum. So slightly more reading, longer essay assignments, and so on, but very much tailored to the needs of the students. So just sort of moving through, here are the program costs. Graduate costs are just slightly less than the undergraduates. So tuition is $2,250.60, and then the supplementary fees, program fees, and so on. Of course, what used to happen is that the students would purchase tickets on the same flight, would go out as a group, and there wouldn't be much flexibility. But now students can purchase their flights for whatever departure they'd like and whatever return they'd like as well. We often encourage students to go off traveling afterwards if possible, and also in the context of the field school itself, they're encouraged to go traveling because Czech Republic is so central. Berlin and Budapest and Krakow, Vienna, they're all within easy striking distance by train. So classes typically end on a Friday at noon, and then we don't come back. We're not back in session again until Tuesday morning when we're off on a field trip. So there's a good chunk of time for students to be on the road and traveling. But of course, they're also reminded that they need to be keeping up with their coursework, with their readings, with their assignments. So typically, they take their work with them and do that in the trains and the hostels and so on where they find themselves. So yeah, students would then have to also provide for food, communication, entertainment, etc. In terms of food, we found that the cost of groceries, well, this is a couple of years ago. Last time I did it was, last time we ran it was 2019. And back then, food would have been much less than it's going to be now with the inflated prices and so on. But nonetheless, students typically end up sharing kitchens, sharing the cost of food, and sharing the burden of let's say, or the responsibility for cooking. So it's not terribly expensive. Communications, much less expensive in terms of cell phones and data plans and so on than Canada. I think Canada is one of the highest costs in the world, and so on. If you have any more specific questions, if students have any more specific questions about costs and so on, what's it like to live in Prague, you can certainly ask me directly. I'd be happy to go into more detail. There's a fair amount of financial assistance available. You can find the information on the ISS suite of study awards. There's also, I'm the director of the Institute for Humanities, and we have, I think, a $3,000 travel award that students can apply to as well. Eligibility for graduate students 19 years of age or older prior to departure to be in good academic standing. The application information is basically all on the website. But again, if there are any questions, please let me know. Visiting students as well. I mean, while I've been director, I've done it 4 times. We've had a number of visiting students from other universities in BC. I don't think from outside of the province, but visiting students are more than welcome. If there are people here who are interested and certainly have friends who are at other institutions who might be interested in applying, please encourage them to do so. We more than welcome them. Really brings a lot to the field school. Applications are due January 25th. I don't have another student here. Oh yeah, and these are the courses essentially, right? There is a course that I teach, Humanities 350, Great Figures, which this year will be Franz Kafka, Great Cities in the Time and Place. So that's a course that is comprised of a number of these Charles University courses, film and history and politics and so on. So that's 340, and 240 is Studies in Modern Culture, which would be the course with Václav Sílek, where you go off on various field trips and so on. So essentially, the graduate courses would be kind of enhanced, enriched versions of these of these courses. So any questions, can direct them to me, Gandesha@sfu.ca, and of course, any specific questions with respect to the application process, just get in touch with ISS. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Samir. Sounds amazing. We will now hear from Hannah from the NATO Field School. Take it away, Hannah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will just get started on sharing my screen as well. Perfect. I think that's looking all right. So I want to give the sort of elevator pitch version of the NATO Field School. For a little bit of background, though, I know I'm one of the not the only people here, I suppose, who's presenting not as a field school director, but as Kate said, my name is Hannah Christensen, and I'm the program coordinator for the NATO Field School. Our program director is called Dr. Alex Moens, and he is in the Department of Political Science. And he has been running this program since 2017. With a quick break in the 2020 program, this will be the 6th year that we're running the NATO Field School, and we're really excited after the reception we got from the 2022 Field School to get back in field, of course, for this summer. So just to whet your appetite a little bit, I suppose, about the Field School, I'll tell you a little bit about what we do and where we go, but of course you can get lots more detailed information from myself. I'll give you my details and of course the website as well. So the NATO Field School is a program focused on learning about NATO, obviously, but more broadly about security, defense, diplomacy issues, international institutions. So there's a wide range of interests that you'll find within the NATO Field School. We definitely end up going much more broad than political science or international relations students. Every year we get students from across the social science and arts disciplines. So from history, from communication, from the different languages, from English and French, and even outside of that, so folks from business and computer science and kinesiology even. So there's a wide range of interests that all come together for this field school, and a wide range of perspectives as well, not just from being a balance of graduate and undergraduate students, but the program itself is actually open to students from any NATO nation. So we find that each year more and more we get a lot of visiting students, which I think is a really great benefit to the SFU students that join us. They get to hear about perspectives on issues that they're interested in from all across the Alliance, from different students, and see what folks are learning in different programs really across the North Atlantic. So this summer, if you were to join us on the NATO Field School, we're going to be starting off with 2 weeks of online simulation training. This is because we've had to take a small change to our schedule to start off the program in person in Rome. So one of our key partners is the NATO Defense College, which is located in Rome in Italy. And you'll see a few photos of us taking part here in a high-level simulation that is run by the Defense College, usually for folks at the colonel level of military officials. So this is one of the experiences that I really like to highlight because it is so unique for us to be able to offer a professional development experience like this to students and folks at our professional level and at this early point in our careers. And it's one of the ways that the NATO Field School really aims to give our students a head start in building the skills and the professional networks that they need to get to the next step in their careers. After our time in Italy, we're going to be heading over to the Baltics. During this time, we're going to be headquartered in Riga, Latvia, with our friends at the University of Latvia, doing some classwork time there, as well as some time in the field. One thing that a lot of Canadians might not know about our foreign policy is that our current largest deployment of Canadians outside of Canada is found in Latvia. We run something called the NATO Enhanced Forward Presence, out of Comparative in Latvia, which you can see here on the right-hand side. So part of our time here is to learn about what it is like to be on the front lines of security and defense from professionals in the area. So folks from the soldier level, from all the way up to those with commissions, so generals, and if we're able to join the Navy, then admirals as well. The other piece of what we're learning about in Latvia is some of the emerging threats in security and defense. So these are new areas for a traditional organization like NATO to be looking at, but we're talking about things like disinformation, hybrid warfare, climate security. So during our time in the Baltics, we have several centers of excellence, NATO centers of excellence, that are focused on some of these issues. So there's the Energy Security Center, there's the Cooperative Cyber Defense Center, and there's also the Strategic Communications Center of Excellence. So the NATO Strategic Communications Center of Excellence each year runs a high-level conference called the Riga Stratcom Dialogue, and we're honored to be able to bring our students directly to the panels that they offer here. So you can see a few photos from our experience there this summer. A really great opportunity as well, not just to learn about the field of strategic communications, but also for our students to get a chance to really flex their networking skills and develop their own professional capabilities. After that, of course, no trip learning about NATO is going to be complete without heading over to Brussels. So during our time in Brussels, each year we visit the NATO headquarters, so looking at the international staff there, as well as the Canadian diplomatic presence. And during this time, we really focus on giving our students a wide range of options and speakers to learn about everything that we can possibly experience in the field of diplomacy and security and defense, to get an idea of what they might be interested in doing in the future. So speaking to young professionals and interns at NATO, all the way up to the high levels of the international staff. So an assistant secretary general, for example, or someone within the Canadian delegation like the ambassador, to really give a full picture of what a career in this field could look like. On the military side, the sort of equal head to the NATO headquarters is on the military side called the Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, also known as SHAPE. So we spend some time with them, as well as with the EU, which is, of course, a really important institution for Canadians to understand how Europeans interact with security and defense in their own way with the EU, as well as with NATO. So to see how those two interplay. This year, we're adding something a little bit different and exciting for our students, where the NATO Field School is actually going to be leading something called the NATO Young Leaders Summit. This will be during our time in NATO, and will expand our program even further and give our students an opportunity to practice some of their leadership skills as they take some of the experiences and perspectives and knowledge that they've gained over the last, at this point, month and a half, essentially, and bring these to new students while out in the field. Through all of this, I hope that you can kind of see a common thread here, which is that in bringing students out of the classroom, what we're hoping to do is to build their professional networks and the skills that they need to transition to that next point in their lives, out of university and into their professional lives. And yeah, that's where I'll leave things for you today. We'll be present, of course, at the ISS info session, which I believe is taking place tomorrow. And we also had a NATO Field School specific info session, which is scheduled for the 12th. Unfortunately, that session is now sold out. But if we do have any additional spaces, I'm going to pop my email in the chat here, as well as I suppose a little bonus for the people who were able to join us today. If you wanted to join us for that session, I might be able to get you a space there as well. But I'll leave it at that, and thank you all for your time.
Great, thank you so much, Hannah, for that presentation. Now, finally, we have Tanya Brosh here, who will tell us a little bit about the Vanuatu Field School. Floor is yours, Tanya.
Thank you, Kate. I'll just share my screen. Okay, hopefully that's visible to everyone. 1 second. Okay, so this one's a little bit different, and I'm just going to tell you briefly about it because as unfortunately it's not yet open for graduate students, but we hope to open it up to graduate students and make the courses graduate seminars as well in the future. So this is going to be the first iteration of this field school. It was all scheduled to happen in 2020 for the summer semester of 2020, but it was canceled due to COVID. So this will actually be the first time that we're offering it. So this field school is based on my research location, my host field village, where I work in Vanuatu. I've been traveling to Vanuatu since 2005, but I've had a field school location, or sorry, a research location there in host villages since 2012. So it's a small village that's located in Vanuatu, which used to be called the New Hebrides. It's in the South Pacific. It's a chain of islands, and I'll tell you a little bit about the itinerary, but just kind of an overview. The title of the field school, the name of it is the Vanuatu Field School for Community Engaged Research. It does have a psychology focus. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Psychology, but it's also open to students in other social sciences or students who are interested in developing a research project in the social sciences. I'm a developmental psychologist, so we'll have a focus on looking developmentally at any questions that we look at. Okay, so the field school will be happening in the summer for the entire summer semester. However, the travel dates are the end of May for the first few weeks of June. And there we go. Okay, so again, just an overview. What I want you to focus on here is just the 3 courses. So I'll tell you more about the duration of the program and how it's all structured in a minute. But first, it's 10 SFU credit hours. So again, it's for undergrads at the moment. It will be opened up to graduate students, hopefully, next year or the year after. So the focus of the school, so the goal of the field school is to provide undergraduate and graduate students in psychology or related fields with the practical skills and theoretical knowledge to approach their scientific endeavors with a community engaged and multi-method and global responsibility. So the focus is for each student to develop and implement a social science research project focused on human social development in a small scale non-Western island society. And it's an 8-week program with 3 of those weeks in Vanuatu. The program consists of 3 courses for a total of 10 SFU credit hours. And those courses are broken down here. And if students have, or if anyone has questions about the particular structure of the courses, you can feel free to let me know. But generally, I can just tell you that the first course is, it's called Advanced Topic Seminar, Culture and Development. And that is sort of background knowledge into issues of culture and development in this particular region, and also focuses on developmental psychology that's been done in the Global South. And the second course, the Psych 425, is focused on community engaged research in psychology. So this is really developing the tools to do community engaged research when you're in the field. Part of that, this course is actually conducted in the field. And then the third one is entirely in the field. However, students will be writing their paper, they'll be presenting in the field, but writing the paper when they return. So that's Field School 2, Field Research Methods. So they'll be implementing the community engaged project in Tana, in the village. Okay, so the program fees, they are quite high, which I can talk to you about that later. If people have questions, I'm happy to tell you more about it. It's around $5,000, and that includes shared accommodation, in-country field school travel, most meals, domestic flights while we're there, pre-departure consultation, and then in-field re-entry support. And I think that that's really critical as well, because when students come back, often they do need support and to work through some of their questions. Okay, so not included are tuition, international flight, and some meals. I'm very creative at finding ways to pay for things. So if students have questions about how they might be able to afford a trip like this, you should message me or come and visit at one of the other sessions. Okay, the itinerary and schedule is kind of put up here. I won't walk you through it, but there's basically, so we go through an 8-week program where some of it is some of the classes are on Zoom. So the first 2 weeks, then we have kind of a week off where we're just meeting for logistics. And then we would travel to Vanuatu and spend the majority of the time in the village there. Okay, so I'll just jump to the next slide. Okay, so so this is just probably not that interesting to or relevant to folks here today because you're graduate students and maybe this doesn't apply, but this is just different options for paying for this program. So there's financial assistance as well as SFU financial aid and awards. And yeah, if you want to know more about it, feel free to scan or click the link or just shoot me an email. Once again, I'm Tanya Brush in psychology, so you could find me there. Thank you.
Well, maybe while people are getting up the courage to ask a question, I might just ask, and this could be a general question or to any of the representatives, what is, in your experience, the most common feedback that you get from students who've attended a field school vis-a-vis how it's different than the rest of their educational experience here at SFU or elsewhere?
Wow, that's a great question, Kate. So we receive student questions from all over, from the where to find applications and down to, is it the good time for me to do these field schools now? Any information related to travel because they heard of the cancellation in the past, and then how do I deal with the risk involving abroad? So then I think that our office generally supports students to do what they want and also inform students of all the potential risks in involving into or signing up a field school, and then connect them to the field school directors who are here today, and then to ask for more and in-depth details so then they could find more informative, more information, and have more useful discussions with their parents as needed, or anyone that will involve into supporting their trips. So we are more of a receiving information in general and then direct them. And I noticed that there is a question in the chat box now, so maybe I'll pass it back to you, Kate.
Great, thanks, June. Yes, this is a great question from Tessa, who is a Faculty of Health Sciences grad student and is wondering if they are able to apply for the comparative sustainability field school. So I guess the general question is, do you need to be in a given department or program in order to apply for a field school in that program?
I could just jump in here to say that I think Tessa would be very welcome to apply for the Finland field school. This would not be an issue.
Yeah, I'll just add, based on my very anecdotal knowledge, I've known a number of students who've done field schools explicitly outside of their major or minor, and part of that is to broaden their education because they may be interested in a given geographic region and they just want to go and learn about it. And so it's a great opportunity to foster interdisciplinarity and to kind of step outside of some of the boxes that we tend to get a little bit held in when we focus on a given study area. Does that resonate with what you've experienced, June, and representatives?
Absolutely, Kate. So then also on each of our program page, we mention for example, if a student has questions about, oh, I'm in this major, can I apply for this program? And then on the program page, it would say so, it's open to all, or is it open to mainly focus on this? But mainly focus on that doesn't mean that we're excluding others. So it will be encouraged, for example, for students to reach out to, for example, to Richard's program in criminology if they are in a different major. Do I still be a good fit for you, Richard? And then to make the connection, and then our field school directors will be able to answer your questions and give you more guidance on that.
Yeah, I would also say that we would more than welcome students from other disciplines, from other faculties. The way the courses are organized are such that they can certainly take advantage of the kind of the richness of the curriculum. And this kind of leads back to the the first question, Kate, that you posed about the difference between learning in the field school and then a normal curriculum. And I would just say that it's just such a qualitative difference to be learning about, for example, history, art and architecture by actually being in a particular place and being able to soak up the atmosphere, being able to see real examples of buildings that you may just read about in the classroom. So it's really indescribably different. And I think also the second thing is the interaction between the students is very special, that they learn from each other through the discussions. They meet international students, they meet travelers from all over the place. And this is such an important aspect of the educational experience. And one of the things that I actually talk about with the students is how different this is from tourism. There's some overlap with tourism, but it's actually quite different because you're living in a place, you're buying your food, you're trying to communicate a little bit in the local language with the inhabitants of places like Prague, and that makes it very different.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I would imagine it would be a very enriching experience for any student. To any of the representatives, and certainly students, if you have other questions, please feel free to pose them. But I'm also wondering on if you could maybe reflect on the connection between graduate and undergraduate students, where you've seen that in your field schools, because many of the programs are open to both.
I can speak a little bit about having both grads and undergrads. So in the field school last summer, for example, we had a pretty much 50-50. We had half of the students were undergrads and half of them grads, and it worked very nicely. And we were able to tailor the field school assignments and readings and things like that to be a little bit different for the graduate students and maybe fit their research in a bit more tailored manner this way. But it definitely, I think, enriched the program for us to have students from multiple different disciplines and from different backgrounds into the field school. So it's I don't know, it was a great benefit in my view to have both.
And a bit of a rare opportunity often for undergrads to be able to interact with graduate students in that context. Yes, Richard.
For the graduate students, just want to mention for this, we haven't done the Scotland one for graduate students, but the students who join us from Germany, they're all graduate students.
Yeah, and that's another thing that some of you have touched on, and maybe students aren't necessarily aware that field schools are often open to students from outside of SFU as well, students either from another institution near the destination or more broadly. So that's another opportunity actually for students to sort of, really get the experience of interacting with people who are coming at, the interest from different perspectives. I will encourage you to take any questions that come up for you to either to June in the field school office or to any of the representatives who've spoken with us today. Thank you everyone for joining us. A very, very special thanks to each of the representatives for taking the time and for June to come out and answer questions for everyone. I really appreciate it.